Hi there, Cinematic Otaku Chris, welcoming you back to another month's episode of Franchise Frenzy, in which this time we'll be taking a look at Part 6. As the old saying goes, the more the merrier. As we just made it through 5, let's take a look at how I rank Part 6. So, no need for much of an introduction here, but we'll start off with my personal favorite in this particular franchise at number 1. Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, from 1986. Hooray for the real Jason Voorhees, making his resurrection as thunder and lightning strikes on him a la Frankenstein, and makes his comeback to where his carnage all started, Camp Crystal Lake, and only one man knows how to defeat the killing machine once and for all again. Now this is the real Part 5 I like to call, because Part 5 was a complete dud with a wannabe, which sound too silly for horror fans. And what we got here definitely made up for that entry. It's a lot of fun of a sequel, which of course we get some taming on the sleaze since Part 3. But also we have an Alice Cooper track or two, which that's a bonus. As well, I recall seeing that cover art as a child at a local pawn shop, and that definitely got me interested in checking out the entire franchise. Other than that, it's a fun sequel that's in my top 5 for the franchise. So, must I say more, perhaps? Not really, except this is why and where I rank Jason Lives at number 1 in this month's episode. The Predator from 2018, or I would like to call Predator 4. The Predator returns to Earth for another hunting season in a small town, as it's up to a ragtag team of former soldiers along with a biologist to track it down before they're next on the menu. Basically, a lot of fun this entry was. All the films in that franchise are just perfection. I mean, lots of good thrills and chills. Can't say too many great things of how the Predator franchise has been. Even though this entry is underrated, it's because Fox tries to come up with good ideas in making a good sequel to the Predator franchise, just like with Alien. And I rate this one pretty high in this month's episode. Still a lot of fun of a sequel indeed. In our next one, we will take a look at, in this particular franchise, will take us back in time. Alien vs. Predator Requiem from 2007. Again, I have said a lot about this entry in episode 4, so nothing is to be repeated yet. Still, not another Alien sequel was made at the time, but we did get a second round between Alien and Predator. And I still enjoyed it for what it was. So, we'll pass on with that. Howling 6 The Freaks from 1991. Not a sequel of a remake of a sequel, but this time it takes place in a small town with a traveling freak slideshow circus in which they bring a werewolf along. I remember this being my first Howling film I saw as a child, in which they were showing that and Howling 2 on Sci-Fi Channel back in the late 90s. I remember catching this entry and I was like, wow. I mean, the ending is pretty awesome, but as for the whole film, I could care less nowadays because how the franchise was going. I mean, not so much of a great sequel, but it is what it is when it comes to the Howling franchise. I love the first two films, but the rest have been total duds. And it's just gotten so bizarre. It's like, what? And this is where I rank Howling 6 The Freaks at in this month's episode. Freddy's Dead The Final Nightmare from 1991, the year I was born. Now, how in the world did Freddy came back from the dead after he was last defeated in the Dream Child? Well, no one knows, but he wants every world to have an Elm Street, as the last remaining teens at an institute must fight back along with Lisa Sang, in which there's a twist you have to see to believe. I mean, remember when I mentioned Freddy wanted to be a father in The Dream Child? Well, he actually is. But which child did he had in real life before all the madness began? You'll have to find out once you see this entry here. Even though he's at his usual cartoonish self since the Dream Master, and it's definitely not one of my favorites, as I can explain my reason already, but it does have a first time in any of the franchise, a 3D sequence at the film's conclusion, which is kind of unique, and sadly I saw the 2D on this DVD release, so frankly, on a bright note, it does have a choice of good stories, well-known or newcomers of course, and an Iggy Pop tune singing why what is I born? That's very catchy, in which the credit sequence has an amazing montage dedicated to every film from the franchise. Not trying to give away the whole thing, as well the twist, but still not one of the greatest entries in the franchise. I mean, lots more cartoonish dialogue and weird gags. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say for right now, but other than that, this is where I rank Freddy's Dead The Final Nightmare at number 5, that low, for this month's Franchise Frenzy episode. Yet, is he really dead this time around? And boom! There you go! With episode 6 and ranking part 6 in this month's thrilling episode of Franchise Frenzy. Don't have anything to say as for an outro, but I do hope you enjoyed watching it overall. As for those who have been doing episode 6 and selected their 6-film franchise, those have met its end, and it's about time we move on to episode 7 already. If you enjoyed what you see here, be sure to hit that thumbs up, comment below, and subscribe if you enjoyed everything on my channel in general. I would like to thank, as always, Joe the Horror Man for hosting this channel. Joe, if you're watching this, your content is superb like always. Keep the passion alive and never stop making those awesome videos. You rule, my friend. Until then, I'm Cinematic Otaku Chris. I hope to see you for another new video on my channel the next time. So, ciao for now, everybody.